What you think about when you're born into a fire? Let them burn it out. Sell them to the richest buyer. They wanna let the world decay.
They said we might get some snow. I mean, it just started. It's like on the windshields and shit. That's about it.
Never let the truth fade away. This is bigger than ourselves. We won't let the world burn away. Burn away. We feel betrayed. We were raised to lose the race. Wake at the back of the pack. Kill it anyway. To play.
But I can tell you
Uh-oh.
about it. This
I missed the cue, guys.
this
What
particular
were y'all doing? Let me slip over here.
fork and balls.
Shut up, Scott McKay. Scott McKay thinks there's people been living on Mars since the 80s. Fucking lunatic. All right, let's go.
Hey daddies, it's me, the Linda Binda from TikTok.
I've been at every
I wanted to
stream,
make this
so
video
what do you
because
think about that
I
shit?
wanted to thank you for watching Cold Beer Confessionals with Will Bird. I think that's just incredible. I've watched a few episodes and I'm just like very intrigued. But you know what I'm most intrigued in is Big Daddy's meat stick. I heard that it's very thick, like a good old German sausage. You know, Linda and her coochie loves that. Oh, never mind. Let's not go there. Anyways, I hope you have a good show and enjoy
No one
it
cares at Suko.
as you can. There's a lot
Dr.
of weird
Javier's
things that
lying.
go on, especially when it comes from the realm of Linda Bindaland. So, enjoy the show. Thanks for watching. Peace out.
Welcome, everybody. I am Will Bird, and this is the Cold Beer Confessional. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for being here. Thanks for hanging out. We got some stuff to go over tonight. If you want to support the show, do that at the link that the mods have. If you know the Dono Clip link or you know the Buy Me a Coffee link, you can use that. This just puts them all in one place, so you don't have to be redirected somewhere else. So thank you guys for joining us. Thank you for being here. A lot going on. A lot of bullshit going on. Man, it makes the U.S. kind of sucks right now. Yeah, let's start with us, I guess. I don't even know where to start. Us. I don't know. It's fucking cold in my office. That's who's hosting tonight. All right, let me see. Desktop audio's on.
Not deported U.S. citizens.
How many United States military veterans have you deported?
Sir,
How many United States military veterans have you deported?
we have not deported U.S. citizens or military veterans.
I don't
And she responds, we have not deported U.S. citizens or military veterans.
believe you served in the military. I haven't either, but I think you and I
So basically all day long when I see clips or stuff that like pisses me off or I want to talk about, or even sometimes it's just funny shit, right? Stuff that makes me laugh or crackheads or whatever, I send it to myself all day long. So anytime I'm on my phone messing around, it's for content for the show. I send it to myself. And then when I start the show, we just kind of fall into that rabbit hole that I made, I guess.
Veterans.
I don't believe you served in the military. I haven't either, but I think you and I can agree that as Americans, we owe everything to those who have served our country in uniform, particularly those who have served in combat. Do you agree with that?
Sir, I believe that people that are in this.
By the way, is his name Magaziner? Is that politician's name Magaziner? Am I saying it wrong? It's Magaziner.
Served our country in uniform, particularly those who have served in combat. Do you agree with that?
Sir, I believe that people that are in this United States that are citizens have legal status here. Those.
Madam Secretary, we are joined on Zoom by a gentleman named Sejun Park.
We talked about this. We talked about this guy when he was first deported. It seems like he's gotten settled somewhere at this point. But he's a Purple Heart recipient, right?
He is a United States Army combat veteran who was shot twice while serving our country in Panama in 1989. Like many veterans, he struggled with PTSD.
I think he got hung up with some drugs, like a small drug charge or something.
And substance abuse after his service. He was arrested in the 1990s for some minor drug offenses, nothing serious. He never hurt anyone besides himself, and he's been clean and sober for 14 years. He is a combat veteran, a Purple Heart recipient. He has sacrificed more for this country than most people ever have. Earlier this year, you deported him to Korea, a country he hasn't lived in since he was 7 years old. Will you join me in thanking Mr. Park for his service to our country?
Sir, I'm grateful for every single person that has served our country and follows our laws.
Can you please tell
And those
Mr.
that our
Park
laws
why
are
you
important,
deported him?
Every one of them needs to be enforced.
But you understand that many veterans struggle with PTSD, many veterans struggle with substance abuse challenges.
So basically they came to him and told him he would either needed this. He got a removal order, and it basically said either you self-deport or we're coming to get you.
This man took 2 bullets for our country. You have broad authority, by the way, as secretary, to issue humanitarian parole, to do deferred action. Will you commit to at least looking at Mr. Park's case to see if you can help him find a pathway back to this country that he sacrificed so much for?
I will absolutely look at his case, but I want you
Thank
to
you.
remember that
Madam
our
Secretary, the
programs
man
need to have
behind you,
integrity as
please
well.
stand up, sir. His name is Jim Brown from Troy, Missouri. He is a Navy combat veteran who served our country in the Gulf War. He's married to a woman named Donna who came to our country legally from Ireland when she was 11 years old. She has lived here for 48 years. Because of you,
Tricia McLaughlin said that his removal was based on extensive criminal background. So basically, it seems like he got something for possession of marijuana, and then he didn't show up at his court date 15 years ago, right? But then he didn't show up at his court date, so they got him for bail jumping. But then all that was taken care of. But just because he has any criminal background, that's enough.
Jim's wife, Donna, has been in prison for the last 4 months. She did not come here illegally, and she has never committed any crime other than writing 2 bad checks totaling $80 10 years ago. She is currently in prison and facing deportation. Ms. Noem, will you thank Mr. Brown for his service to our country?
Thank you, Mr. Brown, for your service to our country.
Now, what possible
By the way, she did not thank the guy on the Zoom call. She said, I thank all veterans for all their service to our country.
explanation can there be for locking up his wife for 4 months when she has committed no crime other than writing a couple of bad checks for $80?
Sir, it is not my prerogative, my latitude, or my job to pick and choose which laws in this country get enforced.
You have
and
broad
which ones
discretion
don't.
as the secretary.
We need to follow
You can issue
the law
parole. You
and
can do all
enforce
kinds of
the
things,
laws.
but you're choosing not to. Will you commit again to just reviewing Donna's case and reuniting this combat veteran with his beloved wife, who also loves this country.
I will review the case.
How many United States military veterans have you deported?
Sir,
None. That's a lie, by the way. We've seen it. We've seen it happen. Yeah, Afghan partners and United States veterans, all that shit. We also have this guy. This is also ICE related. So if you haven't seen this guy, you're gonna learn him soon.
I didn't even know who it was. I just seen a person in a mask just come out the car, sprint at me full speed. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is
The heat's warming up.
and I never expected to be standing in front of all these cameras and microphones. But what happened to me cannot stay quiet. What happened to me was unjust.
I don't have real heat here. I've got like the office basically doesn't get, I don't know, it gets down like 40, maybe the lowest inside, but I've just got 2 electric heaters that I only run when I'm here, and they just sit beside me. So if you hear them on the microphone or whatever, or if I'm wearing a hoodie, a jacket, and a toboggan, it's because it's fucking cold outside.
Uncalled for. I was simply on my lunch break. I literally went downstairs from my building.
On his lunch break at work.
Downstairs from my building. I wasn't even outside for mirrors.
He's a U.S. citizen, and told him he's a U.S. citizen, and told him that his paperwork was on his phone, and they turned his phone off and wouldn't let him access it. They started turning people's phones off because location services.
Seconds before I seen a masked person running at me full speed. He tackled me.
Who? They say that they're arresting these people because if they were here legally, they wouldn't try to resist or run. Who wouldn't run with a masked man chasing you? Like, I don't understand. They're lucky they haven't been shot yet.
Pushed me inside the restaurant, like as you can see in the video. I told him I'm a U.S. citizen. What is going on? He didn't seem to care. He dragged me outside through the snow while I was handcuffed, restrained, helpless, and he pushed me to the ground and he put me in a chokehold. That was very uncalled for. I thought it got really hurt. And after that, they put me inside the vehicle. And they asked me, we have to verify if you're a U.S. citizen because I believe you're an illegal citizen because you ran from me. But as you can see in the videos, that will be released.
Who wouldn't run from them?
I'm simply just standing still. And if this is what's happening to a U.S. American citizen on camera, imagine what could happen to your loved ones when there's no one around to witness what they're doing. I didn't even know who it was. I just seen a person in a mask just come out the car, sprint at me full speed. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Bashir, and I never expected to be standing in front of all these cameras.
It's just insane. And then wait till you hear this story. There's 2 different ones here for us from the same guy, but listen to this bullshit. You're not ready for it, I guarantee.
A 3-year-old child who can barely speak had to stand in front of a federal immigration judge and act as her own attorney. This took place in Tucson, Arizona, and more than a dozen other undocumented minors had to serve as their own attorneys as well. The 3-year-old child named Lucy, who can barely talk, was one of 25 immigrant children forced to fight removal efforts by DHS. Since she was unable to get into the chair on her own, she had to be assisted by a lawyer with the Florence Immigrant and Refugee Rights Project. This lawyer is not formally representing Lucy, but she was able to give the judge information regarding her case because she has no idea.
They're making a 3-year-old represent herself in immigration court. And because she couldn't give her name and information about the case, they let a lawyer step in just to read her information, not represent her. No. You can't represent this client. But I need somebody to tell me her name, the date of entrance, the deportation order, all that shit. And they let a lawyer stand up and read that stuff out, but that was it.
who can barely talk, was one of 25 immigrant children forced to fight removal efforts by DHS. Since she was unable to get into the chair on her own, she had to be assisted by a lawyer with the Florence Immigrant and Refugee Rights Project. This lawyer is not formally representing Lucy, but she was able to give the judge information regarding her case because she has no idea what's going on. Lucy and the other unaccompanied minors must appear in front of the judge, many of them without the help of a lawyer, to defend themselves from accusations of illegal entry into the United States. At Lucy's first hearing in August, an attorney explained that despite the desire to assist the child, the nonprofit lost most of their federal funding in March after the Trump administration terminated contracts. As a result of the funding cuts, the group is unable to take on new clients despite continued demand for their legal services. Unaccompanied minors like Lucy flee their home countries for a number of reasons, including to get away from violent crime, gang violence, and economic turmoil. Immigration court isn't like criminal court. There's no guaranteed right to an attorney, even for a toddler. The judge has to read official charges to a child who cannot read, cannot write, and cannot even understand what a charge is. It really feels like a dystopian scene out of a movie, but unfortunately, this is just Donald Trump's America. A 3-year-old child.
The 3-year-old Lucy approached the lawyer's table wearing a multicolored and floral dress and bright red pants. The child, barely old enough to talk, was one of 25 immigrant children forced to fight removal efforts. By the way, you think this is wild. We should have a program that represents like minors. We did. It was shut down when Trump came to office. They have immigration court gives you no right to representation. And we had a program that made sure that minors were never like this, right? You either face the judge with your family or we put somebody there to help you, right? As a minor, Trump ended that. That policy's over. Unable to reach the chair on her own, she was lifted up into the seat by a lawyer with the Florence Immigration and Refugee Rights Program, FIRP, FIRRP, a nonprofit providing legal service to immigrants. The lawyer pulled out a brand teddy bear to ease the toddler's nerves while she faced Judge Irene C. Feldman. That lawyer is not formally representing Lucy, but provided Feldman with information regarding Lucy's case due to her age and inability to understand the immigration proceedings. Lucy and other unaccompanied minors who are fighting removal orders must appear in front of the judge, many without the help of a lawyer, to defend themselves from accusations of illegal entry into the United States. How is that a thing? You know what I mean? Like, how is this how is this a thing that happens? At Lucy's first hearing, the attorney with FERP explained that despite the desire to assist the child, the nonprofit lost most of their federal funding in March after the Trump administration terminated contracts. As a result of the funding cuts, the group is unable to take on new clients despite continued demand for their legal services. Feldman postponed Lucy's case to November to give her more time to find a lawyer. How is a 3-year-old going to find a lawyer? While she has been unable to do so, Islis, the other lawyer, informed the judge last week that the shelter Lucy is housed in has made progress in reuniting her with a potential sponsor in the U.S., and they are optimistic Lucy will perhaps be able to reunite with a family member soon. It is unclear where Lucy's parents are. I hope Lucy gets to safety, said Judge Feldman, before postponing her next hearing to March of 2026. How could anybody do this or see this or think this is okay? Tucson, Arizona. Unaccompanied minors like Lucy flee their homes for many reasons, blah, blah, blah. Children under the age of 18 who arrive in the U.S. without their parents or guardians are apprehended by immigration authorities are often placed in the care of the Office of Refugee Resettlement, ORR. ORR contracts with different organizations to provide shelter for minors during detention, which lasts until either the case is resolved or until they are reunited with a viable sponsor. Without a sponsor, children can remain in ORR detention until they turn 18. Often, DHS will issue a notice to appear, NTA, against the minors, which begins their removal proceedings. An NTA details the reasons why government believes the children are removable and requires them to attend the court regarding their case. At the initial hearings, the judge is required to share information regarding legal representation, appeal rights, examination of the evidence, and more. The judge must also read the allegations and charge of removability in language the defendant can understand, considering their age and other factors. So they have to break it down to them, by the way. Judges typically allow young respondents additional time to find legal counsel, and immigrants with legal representation have a higher chance of successfully fighting removal efforts, according to data for the American Immigration Council, a nonprofit focusing on immigration policies. But hiring an attorney is expensive, and even older children of working age cannot work without the proper work authorization. As a result, many of these children who are already constrained by living in a shelter do not have the money to hire an immigration attorney, which can cost anywhere from $1,500 to $15,000 or higher. For unaccompanied immigrant children, the barriers are myriad, complex, and nearly insurmountable. Greer Millard, a communications manager for FERP, said, "There is virtually no mechanism for a child to find a pro bono attorney on their own while detained, as they do not have the resources or ability to identify and call attorneys and are actually limited as to who they can contact. As a result, the children often have to fend for themselves or hope already stretched thin nonprofits will fill the gaps. Others, like Lucy, are too young to even understand what's going on in the first place, which results in the absurd theater of the 3-year-olds defending themselves in front of a judge in court." Lucy wasn't the first child to face Judge Feldman on November 24th. The morning began with 6 kids who had legal representation offered by FERP. One by one, they made their way to the lawyer's table to face the judge regarding removal proceedings. 3 of the children represented by FERP, Lucilia is a 15-year-old girl from Mexico, and a 17-year-old Pablo and Lizen, asked the judge allow them to voluntarily depart the U.S., which allows them to leave the country and return to their home countries at the government's expense. Lucilla approached the table alongside her lawyer with a green ribbon tied in her hair. She promptly leaned into the microphone and asked the judge to send her back to Mexico. "Is that something you want?" Judge Feldman asked regarding removal. "Sí," Lucilla replied. Yes, Lucia, I guess. Megan McLean, assistant chief counsel for DHS, granted the request and gave Lucia and the other 2 children 120 days to depart the U.S. Judge Feldman was optimistic they'd make it home soon. "I hope you get home for Christmas," Judge Feldman said. Voluntary departure can protect immigrants from harsher consequences, including a 10-year ban on reentry. Some migrants opt to leave the U.S. rather than fight the lengthy removal proceedings if it means they have more control over how and when they leave, along with leaving the door open for a potential return to the U.S. Millard explained that undocumented children request voluntary departure for many different reasons, including exhaustion from languishing in detention, mistreatment or abuse while in government custody, or being separated from their loved ones and becoming homesick. For some, voluntary departure looks more appealing after being stuck in detention for months. "We see children ask for voluntary departure because the prospect of remaining in a shelter or detention facilities for an extended period of time seems overwhelming. Right now, children are facing longer and longer periods of detainment due to increasing obstacles in the reunification process." 3 other children represented by FIRRP, including 17-year-old Bishoy and Arafat and Alejandro, 16, are fighting their removal proceedings and seeking to remain in the U.S. Their next hearing is scheduled for 2026. After a hearing from children with counsel, Lucy, a security guard brought in scores of unrepresented children to begin the fight against removal proceedings. By the time he arrived in court last week, Nesvid, a 15-year-old from Mexico, had lost hope. When Judge Feldman asked if he had any questions regarding this case, Nesvid promptly replied in Spanish, "How can I go to Mexico?" Judge Feldman recommended he weigh the decision a little longer, but Nesvid remained firm in his desire to return home. As a result, Judge Feldman scheduled his next hearing for December 8 to expedite the process of getting him home. The judge asked Carlos, 15, if he needed more time to find an attorney. Speaking via a Spanish to English interpreter, Carlos said, "Yes, because you gave me time last time, and I looked, and it's not easy to find an attorney." "Well, you've had time. This is your 5th scheduled hearing," Judge Feldman said before asking McLean if DHS had any objections to granting the child more time. With no objections, the judge granted a request and informed Carlos if he didn't obtain counsel by his next court hearing, scheduled for September 2026, she would move forward with removal proceedings, and he'd have to represent himself in court. Elisa, again, it's not like when you or I go to court and we're guaranteed representation for criminal proceedings. Elisa, a 13-year-old girl from Mexico, informed the judge that she had no luck finding legal representation. After answering a few clarifying questions for the judge, McLean recommended the girl be removed to Mexico, prompting the judge to ask if she fears returning. "Sí, yes," she replied. She was given an asylum packet before returning to her seat. Alida, 17-year-old girl from Guatemala, and Jonathan, a 17-year-old, were also offered asylum packets and instructed to send the applications to U.S. CIS in Chicago. Only one child, Zonson, a 17-year-old who is presumed to have run away from the shelter, according to McLean, was ordered removed by Feldman after failing to appear in court multiple times. Most of the children were granted extensions to give them additional time to find a lawyer, but a deeper issue persists, regardless of the extensions. Many of these detained minors do not have the resources to obtain or pay for legal representation. They need to fight for removal. I think we ought to provide them lawyers, dude. If we can't do anybody else, even if it's just minors. Because how is this judge supposed to convey to a 3, 4, 5-year-old what the fuck is going on? I couldn't imagine either one of my sons. I got a 14-year-old. I couldn't imagine him in fucking deportation proceedings. Like, what the fuck? Without a mechanism to provide these children with support, the chances of them returning to court with legal counsel again, without legal counsel again, is very high. That will result in more dystopian scenes like the 3-year-old Lucy facing an immigration judge backed by the full power of the U.S. government and with the ability to determine the course of that child's life. Another hearing ended. Lucy cuddled her teddy bear as she walked back from the lawyer's table and took a seat. Moments later, the next child was called up to face the judge. The cycle continues. Like, that's fucking insane, dude, right? A 3-year-old's. Let me grab another one. What about getting arrested just for watching an arrest?
ICE agents threw a 55-year-old U.S. citizen on the ground and detained her because she watched them arrest her neighbors. Multiple witnesses say she didn't interfere, threaten, or obstruct anything. She simply just looked. Her name is Susan Tincher. She was awakened by a little before 6:30 a.m. by alerts on her phone that an ICE arrest was happening in her neighborhood. She walked over alone and asked one of the officers across the street from the home that was being raided if they were ICE. She said the officer told her get back. She refused and said multiple agents approached her. Federal law makes it a crime for anyone who forcibly assaults, resists, opposes, impedes, intimidates, or interferes with a federal law enforcement agent while they're conducting their duties. Tincher, who's a white woman in her mid-50s and stands at...
It's not so the U.S. funds nonprofit organizations that typically it's something like, we didn't represent all of them. That's true. But something like before Trump, it was like over 70, almost 80% of unaccompanied minors had free legal representation that was funded by the government. But now that all that funding's been cut, they can't. They just can't. They don't have enough lawyers. They don't have enough staff. They just can't represent everybody. So before Trump, above 70% of unaccompanied minors had legal representation. After Trump, I don't even know what the number is now. Every nonprofit is just saying we can't take any more cases. So. And there's more cases than ever.
Her name is Susan Tincher. She was awakened by a little before 6:30 a.m. by alerts on her phone that an ICE arrest was happening in her neighborhood. She walked over alone and asked one of the officers across the street from the home that was being raided if they were ICE. She said the officer told her get back. She refused and said multiple agents approached her. Federal law makes it a crime for anyone who forcibly assaults, resists, opposes, impedes, intimidates, or interferes with a federal law enforcement agent while they're conducting their duties. Tincher, who's a white woman in her mid-50s and stands at 5 feet 4 inches tall, insists she was speaking at a distance from the agent and that she did nothing to impede their actions. She said pretty soon they were throwing me on the ground and handcuffing me and putting me in their unmarked truck. Tincher said that agents told her in the truck that if she didn't watch herself, they were going to...
So all she did was she got an alert on her phone that ICE was in her neighborhood. She walked outside and watched the cops and asked them if they're ICE. They told her to get the fuck back or they would arrest her. She told them no. They arrested her. Then, while she was yelling and screaming like, I'm a citizen, you can't fucking do this, they told her if she didn't shut up, they were going to pull over and spray her with pepper spray.
white woman in her mid-50s and stands at 5 feet 4 inches tall insists she was speaking at a distance from the agent and that she did nothing to impede their actions. She said pretty soon they were throwing me on the ground and handcuffing me and putting me in their unmarked truck. Tincher said that agents told her in the truck that if she didn't watch herself, they were going to pull over to the side of the road and pepper spray her. Her husband said it's incredible to see that the government can do this, arrest somebody for doing nothing illegal and throw her down, handcuff her. Tincher has marks on her neck and wrist from where the agents restrained her. They even cut off her wedding ring and held her in leg shackles at Whipple Federal Building for about 5 hours, where she saw 7 other detainees. This is
Again, all she did was watch another arrest. She watched an arrest and she got arrested.
Exactly what unchecked government power looks like. A U.S. citizen standing on her own street was tackled, arrested, and taken away in an unmarked vehicle.
A 55-year-old woman. You think she was a threat to those ICE agents with their fucking bulletproof vests and their goddamn swastika tattoos?
ICE agents threw a 55.
And that kind of clears up. It takes the guesswork out of why they do shit like this.
We have some major news right now. ICE agents are now going to homes and taking down their homes.
They couldn't remove her wedding ring, so they cut it off. Yes. They usually won't let you go into jail with a ring, right, or any jewelry. They couldn't remove it, slide it off, so they cut it off.
Camera is in complete violation of the United States Constitution, and people need to know that this is happening in the United States of America, so spread the word. This is them walking up to a home. Look at watch.
They both noticed. They both noticed this camera already.
Watch what this ICE agent does.
Is that legal, chat? We've talked about this over and over and over and over and over again. Police do this sometimes. Shitty fucking county deputies and shit. Is that legal? Absolutely not. That violates the Fourth Amendment.
Now ask yourselves, why would an agent need to take down a home security camera? Unless they want to do something that they don't want videotaped. And the truth is that the moment this ICE agent actually took down that camera, that likely was a Fourth Amendment violation. Video was from David Beer from the Cato Institute. The camera was attached to a home. That would constitute a search under the Fourth Amendment. As an agent, you can't conduct a search just because you want to. There needs to be some legal basis to do it. And what we're seeing here are...
Even if it wasn't part of the home, like let's say, you know, you have it like on your deck rail or whatever, you're still protected by the curtilage.
Agents just completely skirting the law. Spread the word, follow along from... We have some major news right now. ICE agents are now going to homes and taking down their home security cameras in complete violation of the United States Constitution, and people need...
And here's a quick update. You guys remember I gave you a trigger warning for the guy being ran over? Well, you're going to hear that scream again, but here is at least a little bit of an update here.
I have an update on Jose Paniagua, the gentleman who had his legs crushed from an ICE vehicle just a few days ago. His sister-in-law reached out to me and stated that he has been transferred from the Vancouver, Washington ICE facility to an El Paso, Texas ICE facility. She stated that his transfer is likely due to retaliation by ICE and that they are no longer in communication with Jose. The family is very upset because they do not know the extent to which the injuries are on his legs that he sustained, and they also don't know if he's receiving any treatment or getting any medication, and whether or not that treatment and medication has transferred along with him to the El Paso location. If anybody has any info on Jose Paniagua, please inbox me so that we can help him find his family. His sister-in-law wanted me to pass along the message to you that he's a roofer, that he has no criminal record, that he is an active member of his church and of his church choir, of which he plays the guitar for. He's a good guy, and he does not deserve this kind of treatment. So again, if you have any information, please reach out. Also, if you are a civil rights attorney, please reach out to me. I'm hearing from a lot of people around the country.
They're just trying to bump their numbers. They don't care. They don't care if you've never committed a crime. They don't care if you've been here 50 years. They don't care if you're swearing in to become a U.S. citizen tomorrow or in 5 minutes. They don't give a fuck. They got to bump their numbers, hit their quota, get their bonuses.
Of injustices that they've endured. And I would like to build up a referral network of attorneys that would be willing to help these individuals, especially if you're willing to help pro bono. Thank you. I have an update on Jose Paniagua.
Oh, I can't play this music. That's that Benny Hill or whatever. I can't play the music, but you guys can watch the video. This guy fucking slipping out of ice. You give me a copyright strike. Gone, baby. And we've seen this one, the guy on the bicycle. I think they tried to get him to DoorDash something to him so they could arrest him. These are the two they ran off. They tried to arrest somebody in that on this road, and they end up running that. Enough people show up, they run them off. Look at everybody running out the back while he's letting them in this door. That's pretty good. We got more bad content, I guess. I don't think that was a one, was it? No, that's not one. All right. To absolutely no one's surprise, Trump during his rally was being super racist again.
This Elon Omar, whatever the hell her name is, with the little turban. I love her. She comes in, does nothing but she's always complaining. She comes from a country where, I mean, it's considered about the worst country in the world, right? They have no military, they have no nothing, they have no parliament. They don't know what the hell the word parliament means. They have nothing, they have no police. They police themselves. They kill each other all the time. I love it. She comes to our country, and she's always complaining about the Constitution allows me to do this. We ought to get her the hell out. She married her brother in order to get in, right? She married her brother.
That's not even the conspiracy, by the way. So he doesn't even have the conspiracy theory. That's wrong. He doesn't even have that right. The conspiracy is she married her brother to get him in. That's what all the conspiracy theorists think, right? That guy that I was showing you the other day that turned into a Trump lobbyist, that's where Trump's getting all these ideas from. The two guys that lobby him for pardons now are the two guys who made all this shit up and did the national press release. The conspiracy theory isn't that she married her brother to get in. It's that she married her brother to get him in. And even that's not true. It's all made up.
Constitution allows me to do this. We ought to get her the hell out. She married her brother in order to get in, right? She married her brother. Can you imagine if Donald Trump married his sister? Beautiful. She's a beautiful person. If I married my sister to get my citizenship, do you think I'd last for about 2 hours, or would it be something less than that? She married her brother to get in. Therefore, she's here illegally. She should get the hell out. Throw her the hell out. She does nothing but complain. I love this Elon Omar, whatever the hell her name is, with the little turban. I love her. She comes.
Fucking racist piece of shit, dude. What's this guy? This guy busted ICE trying to find his father who's been missing. So this guy's father was arrested by ICE and nobody knew it. So they started trying to find him because he just disappeared one day. And they started checking the GPS on his truck. And I'll be goddamned if an ICE agent on his day off wasn't out driving this guy's truck around. They stole the guy's truck.
ICE is now stealing the possessions of the people they kidnap. Watch this.
Your uncle's in jail. Yeah, that's cool, but I want the truck. You stole the truck, and I got you in video, and I called Anaheim PD already. They're aware.
Does it look like he's in his official garb there?
Already.
Does it look like he's at work? Why would he be in this man's father's truck? Going to the gym. He went to a couple restaurants, went to the gym in it. They've been tracking him all day. They thought they were tracking their dad or somebody that kidnapped their dad or whatever. Turns out it's a fucking ICE agent.
They're aware.
So that was the son of a man kidnapped by ICE confronting the ICE agent who stole his dad's truck after they arrested him. The family had no idea that he had even been arrested, since ICE isn't being required to follow any of the rules of due process. So his son was following the truck's GPS to try and find their dad. And instead, he found a pathetic fascist piece of out for a joyride on his day off in the man's truck. And I want you to ask yourself, if they are already so bold as to steal entire vehicles, do you really think that there is any chance that they aren't also stealing smaller, much easier to conceal items like, say, jewelry or cash or books or clothing? How many more parallels is it going to take for y'all to realize that history is repeating itself? How many more parallels is it going to take for you to realize that our government has scapegoated immigrants in the same exact way that Jewish people were previously? Because you do realize that Germans also had bureaucratic justifications for why they needed to remove all of the Jewish people from their country in order to save their economy, right? They also believed that their jobs were being taken by interlopers. And they also believed that their government's actions, while cruel and inhumane, were necessary to protect their country and their children. They sounded exactly like you. They repeated all of the same bull excuses that you all whisper to yourselves in between shopping trips and church sermons. Do you really think that you could look Jesus Christ in the eyes if he came back today and saw how you allowed God's children to be treated? Do you really think he would want to have anything to do with you after finding out the kind of state-sanctioned violence that you cheered on? Because I sure as don't. I think he'd find you repulsive, and I think he would be deeply ashamed. ICE is now stealing.
Insane. I don't know what to say.
Trump is showing signs of dementia. Nothing bad can happen. It can only good happen. Why is the media barely reporting on this? And why won't they ask who's really making the decisions in the White House? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. Can you imagine if President Biden or any other politician made a claim like this? Now drug prices are going to be going down 100%, 400%, 600%, 1,000% in some cases. Prices cannot go down more than 100%. That's not how math works. But Trump's fantastical claims have gotten more and more unhinged. AOC's low IQ. Have her pass the exams that I take. This is especially troubling given that he is the oldest president ever to be sworn in and has a family history of Alzheimer's. His growing confusion has alarmed psychologists like this former Johns Hopkins professor.
There are times when he's really unable to complete a thought.
I've been looking at those things with the little red. They're always broken.
Actually, sometimes he's unable to complete a word.
The FDA will be notifying physicians that the use of acetaminophen.
It's called a phonemic paraphasia. There's dozens of examples. They're online.
Fake infrastructure, cryptologic, pergovarius.
Trump also seems to be confused about when he was president. He falsely claimed in a post that the Biden FBI placed 274 agents into the crowd on January 6th. Hello? Biden wasn't president. Come on, folks. And Trump keeps claiming that the Epstein files were a hoax created by his predecessors.
These files were made up by Comey. They were made up by Obama. They were made up by the Biden,
Even though the arrest and demise of Trump's close friend Jeffrey Epstein happened during Trump's own first term. Trump is increasingly befuddled about who everyone around him is. He didn't seem to know who House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries was after he'd just been meeting with him.
Even on the discussion that
wait a second. So I want to be accurate here, and I was wanting to see if anybody was investigating ICE driving that guy's truck around. That guy may not actually be ICE. It seems like the claim he's making is that he's a bail bondsman, and yeah, the guy did get arrested and did get held on immigration stuff, but he's a bail bond. I still don't know why he's driving the guy's truck around. But he's driving the guy's truck around to the gym and to restaurants, apparently.
with Chuck Schumer, who was here yesterday, along with a very nice gentleman who I didn't really know. You know what I'm talking about.
Trump has become unable to stay on topic. During a recent cabinet meeting, he went on a 15-minute rant about picture frames and lamps. I'll spare you from having to watch it in full, but...
I love the frame of those pictures. Look at those frames. By the way, it's an incredible clock. Oftentimes they'll show those lamps. I said, oh, wow. Medallions. If you paint it, it won't look good.
Trump's ramblings have become so incoherent that the White House has started covering up for him by deleting transcripts of his remarks from their website. But they...
I mean, even if you held the truck as collateral on a bail bond, it should just be sitting there, right, until you either lose it or get it, one of the two.
Not hide his mental deterioration and growing paranoia.
The word affordability is a con job by the Democrats.
Recently, he was so mad about an escalator that stopped.
All I got from the United Nations was an escalator stopped right in the middle.
I don't even know if Trump is even like, yeah, Trump's racist in the way that like all people his age from that time are basically fucking racist, right? They think black people are lazy and they think Mexicans do drugs or whatever. But it's almost like the Millers and the JD Vances and the techno bros are pushing him to this like, let's just be evil to fucking people, right? Let's send ICE out and just fucking start snatching people that are any color but white. Even white people if they're watching too closely. He's just a crazy old racist guy. Not that it's any less, you know, he's still a racist piece of shit. The same way that everybody his age probably is, especially raised the way he was and whatever. But the cruelty at being the point of ICE is being decided by somebody else. To send a message. And he knows it does well with his voters. His voters like the cruelty. His voters will literally find like where they beat somebody up or fuck somebody over or refuse dialysis for somebody or did this or did that. And they're in the comments saying, yeah, this is exactly what I voted for.
It was sabotaged by the UN and called for a Secret Service investigation. Paranoia, but it's really a Democrat hoax. And anger are common symptoms of dementia. So is a loss of impulse control.
Donald Trump accuses members of Congress of sedition and says it's punishable by death.
All have become cornerstones of Trump's second term. Trump appears to have accidentally posted a private message to his attorney general on social media, ordering her to target his political opponents, including former FBI Director James Comey and New York Attorney General Letitia James. Trump has also pressured TV networks to fire comedians who poke fun at him.
Yeah, the big like West Wing signs and shit. Yeah, I watched
Eric
it.
and Don Jr. would know how to handle jokes.
And has insisted that criticism of him is not free speech.
When somebody is given 97% of the stories are bad about a person, that's no longer free speech.
And he ordered troops to fight an imaginary war in Portland, Oregon, a decision he reportedly made because he was confused by a Fox News clip from 5 years ago that crossed his television screen.
Fox News was showing old clips of like the Summer of Love or whatever they're calling the BLM riots. And he thinks that's what's actually going on in Portland. And there's no telling behind closed doors what they're showing him and telling him.
On Sunday morning, Trump told NBC, well, wait a minute. Am I watching things on television that are different from what's happening?
He said, now, wait a minute. Am I watching things on television that are different from what's happening while he was watching a 5-year-old clip?
Acts, those of a sane person or of an aging, paranoid megalomaniac. Trump's cabinet could invoke the 25th Amendment to remove him from office. Instead, Stephen Miller, Russell Vought, J.D. Vance, and RFK Jr. seem to be feeding into Trump's paranoid delusions to increase their own power and advance their own fanatical agendas. A person suffering dementia can be a danger to themselves and others.
The windmills are driving the whales crazy.
In the most tragic cases, they can be manipulated and taken advantage of by unscrupulous relatives or caretakers. Is this what's happening in the White House? We must demand that the media fully investigate and tell the truth about Trump's deteriorating mental state and expose any handlers who are
I don't think they're sabotaging him. I think they're using him to benefit the plans that they want in place. And then once he's gone, they can say, well, it was Trump that did those horrible, evil things that are going to be prosecuted. We actually wanted to take a different approach.
The president is unhinged. He is unwell. What are you doing?
On your side are too. I don't control.
Oh my God.
Please help spread the word by sharing this video.
What part of your body was the MRI looking at?
I have no idea.
Cases, they can be manipulated and taken advantage of by unscrupulous relatives or caretakers.
This is crazy.
What's happening in the White House? We must demand that the media...
That clip where they think they're not being recorded and they're like, Trump's unhinged. And he's like, well, yeah, but so are people on your side. That's Mike Johnson talking about it.
Tell the truth about Trump's deteriorating mental state and expose any handlers who are exploiting it.
The president is unhinged. He is unwell.
He didn't know he was being recorded right here.
What are you doing?
On your side are too. I don't control.
Oh my God.
R2. A lot of folks on your side, he's shaking his head, yes. Trump is unhinged. He's unwell. There's something wrong with him. Yeah. But folks on your side are too. No, he's completely fine. He knows. They're just scared of getting dogged out on fucking social media and getting death threats and an army to show up and bomb threat. Like Marjorie Taylor, they're scared of getting what Marjorie Taylor Greene got. Primaried and losing their seats and falling out of favor.
Please help spread the word by sharing this video.
What part of your body was the MRI looking at?
I have no idea.
I have no idea. It was just it was a full body MRI.
It's typical Trump. All bluster, very little substance. He talks a tough game, but then when pressed on it, he's an armchair tough guy. I hate to say it, but this is a guy who said that John McCain is not a war hero, yet he sought his own 5 military deferments because he says big, blustery things that people want to hear, but he goes way too far. And then when the military says, we won't follow illegal orders like torture or killing families, which is not loosening the rules of engagement, he suddenly realizes, wait, I might actually be commander-in-chief.
To understand this video, you do have to go back to 20.
Gonna have to pull him back in. I know I showed this other night, but it just blows my mind. They're literally trying to get what's his name to recommission him so they can court-martial him. They do the exact same thing to Pete Hegseth.
Series of very controversial national security promises when running for president that include killing the families of terrorists, expanding the use of torture. Now, Hegseth and his other colleagues at Fox were harshly critical of Trump's comments, which he did end up walking back, by the way, saying you wouldn't tell the military to
All right, I'm going to show you. Should we do a... No, let's not do that yet. Hold on. I'm trying to keep them kind of in order here, or at least related to each other. Here's some vote regrets. You want to see this? This is wild.
Iowa, mother of 4. I am a wrestling coach in Iowa, mother of 4. I voted conservative. The craziest thing has happened to me a few weeks.
She's not even saying Trump. She's saying I voted conservative.
A wrestling coach in Iowa, mother of 4. I voted conservative. The craziest thing has happened to me a few weeks ago, and I really feel the need to share it from the position of a very pissed off conservative Christian woman. I almost died.
This is what we warned them would happen. And they said, no. This doesn't stop doctors from doing that, and they're still allowed to do this, and they won't do that. And we said, no. You're going to scare doctors into inaction. No one wants to be arrested. No one wants to be sued. No one wants to be, made an example of for an illegal abortion, facing 15 years in fucking prison because you only have a, 50% chance of making it out alive.
I almost died because I was denied medical care here in Iowa after being diagnosed with a fatal fetus. So my baby was not going to make it. There was no chance of it. We got multiple opinions. No chance. Shortly after that, my health started to rapidly decline, and I was not able to seek.
She was basically going septic. The baby was dead inside of her, and no one would do the procedure to remove the fetus from her because they are scared of the abortion laws in her state.
Care in a timely manner or nearly at all. I was told to miscarry at home or wait it out or ask Google what to do when I asked where could I go for a resolution to my problem. So I had a fetus in me that's poisoning me from the inside out. I have 3 healthy, lovely children at home, a business to run, a husband, and I'm not allowed to choose me? Where's the pro-life in that? Pro-life, choose me, choose the mother. We're completely forgetting the mother in this situation. At no point should a dying fetus have more precedence in a healthcare system over a healthy mother who's contributing positively to society. My God, please help us. This is not what we've...
That almost sounds like women should have the choice.
For you guys, this is not it. Doctors should not be afraid to do their job. And that is the case here in Iowa. It's not that they don't want to help us. It's that they are afraid to do their job and save our lives.
Yeah. And everybody said this would happen.
Politics and religion have no place in healthcare. They have no place on my body, on my health.
My wife almost died last week. I'm a legal immigrant, resident, and future citizen, and I live in Des Moines, Iowa. I come from a very religious...
And her husband's not even... This motherfucker's going to end up getting deported. He's not even a citizen. I'm a future citizen.
This even conservative and traditional country, but we were wrong here by the medical system, influenced by the politicians. Our baby was dying. There was no hope. The logical step would have been to terminate the pregnancy to save my wife's life. Doctors, out of fear of getting sued, refused that, influenced by the politicians and propaganda. I had to rush her to the hospital, in which it took 2 hours for us just to see the doctor after she experienced hard chest pains and could barely walk. We didn't even get to grieve our own baby because we had to fight for the life of my wife. And we had to fight on our own because doctors weren't even allowed to tell us what to do or where to go.
He's either Russian, Ukrainian, somewhere.
I really hope that no other family doesn't have to go through anything that we went through. So that's why I want to send a message to anyone listening that we need to stand up for what is right. I have 2 kids with my wife. She has 4 kids altogether. All of those kids would have been heartbroken. Her lives would have been changed forever if my wife got sepsis and died because doctors refused to treat her and terminate a baby in pregnancy that was going to die 100%. We prayed, we did everything right. We are healthy people, but yet we were cornered by the medical system and we were cornered by the government. Healthcare shouldn't be political. Once human lives are in danger, just how my wife's life was in danger, politics needs to stay out.
I am a wrestling coach in Iowa, mother of
I voted conservative. There's another woman right now that she's getting a lot of hate, but at least she's coming out and saying she was wrong. But the problem is it wasn't until it affected her. That's why people are giving her so much hate. And I hope it doesn't push her back the other way. Right? And she's like, fuck them. You know, I tried to come out. I tried to apologize. I tried to do this. So now I'm going full blown the other way. But goddamn, are you incapable of empathy? Like you couldn't see this happening to you or someone, like, what the fuck? It's this woman.
Get ready with me while I explain how ICE took my husband and why we might lose everything because of it. We were at our marriage-based green card interview, which is like the last step to becoming a lawful permanent resident. We were totally expecting to walk out with a green card that day when ICE barged in the middle of our interview.
People went through her retweets and reposts, and they were all talking shit about Kamala and pro-Trump and all kinds of shit, even like a couple months ago.
My husband handcuffed him and took him away. No explanation, no valid basis. Seeing as we were about to move back to Minnesota, where I'm from,
Someone said, I voted for your husband to still be with you. I'm sorry you didn't.
Our sole source of income before he was arrested. And now I'm sitting here trying to think about how I'm going to pay for our rent and all of our bills while dealing with this disaster because they cannot tell us when he'll ever be released. I went from planning our future, starting to open up our own business, to now wondering where our next paycheck is going to come from, how I'm going to afford to live in such an expensive city. We live in San Diego, to try to fight this and get him out of custody because he doesn't deserve to be there. The thing no one's really talking about is the fact that overstaying a visa is not a crime. Right now, San Diego is taking people and putting them in deportation proceedings for overstaying their visa, whether that be a work visa or a student visa. My husband was...
I think she's a lawyer.
On student
I think's
visa.
what I heard.
And overstaying is not a crime. It is in civil court. It's a civil violation, very similar to a citizen not paying their car registration on time, not renewing our registration on time. It is not an arrestable offense for overstaying a visa. Other than that, my husband has done nothing to warrant being put in an ICE detention facility. He's currently being held at the Otay Mesa Detention Center on the border of the United States and Mexico. So now here I am. I figure, you know, the worst thing that can come from this is that it helps me pass the time and reconnect with my community, since I've been inside pretty much alone for the last week, crying uncontrollably and trying to stay strong for him. But I mean, hopefully, you know, I can figure out how to make do by supporting us in the meantime, because I have been applying for jobs. I have a law license. I'm an attorney, but right now we were transitioning to move. I wasn't planning on getting a job until we relocated. And now I'm trying to figure out ways to support us while he's there, just to keep our house and keep up with our bills. I figure if telling our story will also help educate the public, even if one person sees this.
Now, she says she didn't vote for Trump. She says that, you know, she was raised like super religious from a small town, and she was basically like I was. And I think the reason I changed so late is, one, Trump's just like this crazy figure that I think it should have changed. Basically, everybody should have seen something was going on, right? And it should have changed all Republicans. Even if you still want to be Republican, Trump's not that. Whatever the fuck Trump is not Republican. Or you could have just come out and been like, yeah, I'm a racist piece of shit. But I think one of the reasons, like, I changed so late in life is because I didn't go to college, and I had military experience, but, you know, the military is kind of gung-ho, right-wing, a lot of stuff. She says it's because she was raised in, like, a super small town, and, like I was, religion and politics were kind of synonymous. Like, I've had pastors like Greg Locke where they're like, you can't be a Democrat and a Christian, and, you know, they don't go to, like, shit like that. But the fact that she went to college and to law school and with all these other people and still come out of that as a Trump supporter, it fucking blows my mind.
I don't really care, but to at least start spreading the news that it's not about doing things the right way. We were doing things the right way. We were at our green card interview. We were in the court system, but they started deportation proceedings anyway. We've been married for over a year. And we need to start getting this information out there, because people who are okay with these proceedings, I feel like they would feel differently if they really knew what was going on. I will eventually get on here and talk about the actual story about when they took him. It's really hard to tell. I've tried to make a video on it, and it's...
She said she came to this realization right before election time, and she didn't vote for Trump.
It's hard.
That's her claim.
So I haven't done that yet, but I will if this is what it takes to help pass the time and support our little...
I told her, I sent a message. I was like, you know, I know you're going to catch a lot of hate. you're just going to get it. Just, you just got to kind of take the brunt of it right now. People are fucking pissed still. And now that it's affected you, you're coming out and complaining about it. But where were you at, before? Why were you reposting all this other shit? You know what I mean? Like somebody went through all her reposts. It was all anti Kamala Harris shit and talking shit about people all before her husband disappeared. Even just a couple months ago. And I didn't do the research. They did, but let me see if I can find her addressing the discourse.
I thought it important to come on here and kind of address the discourse that's going on in my comment section about things that I've either reposted or liked in the past. And I understand it's going to be a very controversial opinion, but I do still believe that people have the ability to grow. I think people have the ability to change their position on things. Growth is not linear. I haven't always been the most educated person in the room, but I fight to be educated more and more every day. If you look at all of my recent content, probably from the last year, you can obviously see which side I am on. For clarity, I did not vote for Trump. He would not have my vote. I did not vote against my own family. That is not what happened. That's not what transpired. However, if we do not believe that people can grow and people can change and people can expand their opinions, then what are we even doing trying to participate in important discussions where we sit there and try to get other people to see our perspective and change their opinions? To make it very clear, I have grown my opinion so much that I no longer would even recognize my former self. And again, we need to offer this same grace towards other people to expand their opinions. Political debates used to look a lot different. They used to be a lot more informative instead of attacking the other side. And it makes it really hard to combat your algorithm to show you diverse opinion. I think this is a very important issue, and I'm actually glad that people brought it up, because I have always said that we need to leave more room for growth and stop reprimanding people for ever having a misinformed opinion. I know that people are going to disagree on that, and that is completely fine. I understand. I can't sit here and try to defend my former self when my former self was less educated than I am now. Obviously, a lot of that has come with conversations with my husband himself, and in law school, where we consistently had debates where we would bring up different facts and different platforms to get more information and a more well-rounded opinion. And like I said, and like I will continue to say, I think it is so important that we continue leaving space for people who grow and adapt and stop punishing them for who they used to be, because I hope that some people in my life and people that I used to associate with, I do want to leave that space for them to grow. And when they do, when they finally come to the side that most of us are on, I'm not going to sit there and continue to attack them being like, you once had this opinion, so you're to blame. I think it's unnecessary to focus on tearing each other down, especially when those opinions are no longer in alignment. It's not conducive to the cause. It's not helpful to anyone. We need to leave space for growth. I can't stop saying that because it's so important. You need to leave space for people to change their minds, or we are fighting an already lost battle trying to change other people's minds for these issues today, right now, tomorrow, next week. I rest my case. I am sorry for anyone that I have hurt or, called into question my own character and what I have supported ever, or how things were talked about.
I mean, I'm glad she changed, and I can't blame her for changing, and I can't blame her for being like, this happened to my family and it's fucked up. But I also can't blame people that are already angry and are like, hey, you could have helped stop this from happening, kind of deal, right? And instead you didn't.
I have been ignorant in the past, and I'm not ashamed to admit it, simply because
someone compared it to like when a man starts crying because he got caught cheating. He's not crying because you're leaving him or whatever. He's crying because he got caught.
I can't get mad at my former self for simply not knowing better. And yes, I have now opened up the diversity of places that I get my news from, and that has changed the entire course of how I live, how I move, how I walk throughout society. And I hope that this is understood by many from both sides, that we need to stop trying to tear down who you used to be and instead realize that at the present, we are all fighting for the same thing. I thought it important to come on here and kind of address the discourse.
I don't know. That was the most recent video before. Oh, shit.
I'm coming on.
That's my bad. You can't grow and change if you don't admit that what you've done in the past and reflect on why you made those choices. You can do that out loud or alone, but it's clear it has not been done, I guess.
Because I think it's a very good point. And I'm going to first offer some context and lay the foreground, and then get into who I voted for, what my opinion was at the time, what it is now, and hopefully try to bridge the gap of what you have seen and where we are now. So I grew up in an extremely red area. I'm talking all white people. I think there was one family of color in our entire town. I grew up in a town of like 3,000 people, predominantly farmers. It was hard as a child growing up with people who had such strong conservative opinion and being taught in such a way that this is fact and this is the right way to believe, etc. And trying to unlearn and relearn all of the things I was ever told growing up was extremely difficult. And like I said in another video, it was not linear and took an extremely long amount of time. Pretty much the campaign that Trump ran in this last election was everything I was told growing up. I will admit and fully take accountability that I took too long to explore different news sources than the ones I grew up listening to, and get in debates that were uncomfortable and sit there and have really difficult conversations and hear people out. And only then did I start shifting, and really it was a shock to my conscience that everything I was taught turned out to be a lie. It was something really hard to grapple with because I had to unlearn everything to relearn what I believe now. It was extremely difficult. Again, that's no excuse. I should have been doing that the whole time. I was absolutely an echo chamber of the things that I grew up hearing. So a lot of what I would say, even out loud, and I'll admit it now, so ignorant because we didn't have the full picture of what the world looked like. It took a lot for me to get to the other side, if you will, because I was taught everything as if it was fact and left no room for question. And only when I actually moved to California, a very blue state, and started having these conversations where people would bring up facts that I had never heard and opinions that I had never entertained and was never exposed to. Is that an excuse for the fact that I didn't do my own research prior to just regurgitating everything that I grew up believing? Absolutely not. Now, to address the most important issue that people are asking, I didn't previously speak on it because I wanted to come across in a way that shows that I have taken accountability and I have changed and I am ashamed of who I used to be and I'm taking accountability. That being said, growing up in a way where I was so committed to my own beliefs that I wasn't listening, only when I started to listen, when this last election cycle was coming up, and listening to multiple different people and trying to find the facts under it and everyone saying that all of it is fake news and everything is wrong. It was so confusing. I discovered shortly before the election cycle that everything I had ever learned was false or called into question and debatable when I never grew up thinking that they were debatable topics. It was a right way and a wrong way. But when I started uncovering the fact that maybe I didn't know anything about anything and that I needed to educate myself, I did not, and this will be extremely controversial, I did not think that I was educated enough to cast a vote on anything. So that being said, I did not vote. I know that is extremely, extremely controversial. And would I ever do that again? No, because I now take
even more surprising.
It on the responsibility as a citizen, as a woman, as a human, as a wife, to take the time to do as much research, to purposefully and intentionally and, to form an opinion that I can truly get behind and that is all my own. I apologize for anyone who is affected by the non-votes and the votes of the conservatives. I have and hold so much empathy, and it hurts that I have hurt a community, and I take full accountability for that. I am here taking responsibility for that, and it is humiliating. And my husband and I got into so many conversations, and I was going on a mental spiral being like, I don't know who I am or what I believe because every opinion I've ever held was based on false facts. So how can I even try to change my opinion fast enough and be informed enough to participate? It didn't feel right. It didn't feel like I was smart enough. Truly, I didn't feel right about it. Obviously, I now know that a non-vote was a vote for Trump, and I understand that. So in essence, yes, some people will think in that way I voted for him, but at the time, that is not at all what I intended to be the outcome. It was like, I don't know what to believe because everything that you see is false news this and they're lying that, and it's just so complicated to keep on top of it. I hope this offers some context. I'm sorry that I didn't vote. I apologize and take accountability for every opinion I've ever held, but please know that I no longer do, and I now make it my mission to do everything I can to educate myself, educate others, bring awareness. I'm going to address this comment because I think I'm coming on here to address several things, but also talk about some very important information. And I hope that even those who very much don't like me or are critical of me continue to listen to this video and just hear the information that I have to share. It is not lost on me that a lot of the hate I'm receiving is justified. I know that I fucked up. I know I contributed.
I just wanted to hear kind of her rundown of it, I guess.
What the state of our nation looks like right now. I am ashamed to admit it, but there is a reason that I continue talking about it. My videos have the potential to reach a lot of conservatives. It has already. There are a lot in my comments and a lot in my messages, and a lot of what they're saying is absolutely not okay. I want to talk about why that might be happening. I think a lot of these conservatives are opening these comments to see how passionate people are and how critical they are, and being dissuaded to listening to any substantive issues if they think that this is what our party looks like. Like I said, a lot of it is justified. However, these comments, when people open them, are going to be like, wow, this is what we receive if we change our minds. If I abandon my beliefs and I'm not welcomed by any other party when I do so, why would I even listen? That's how these people are feeling, because I used to be one. A lot of these people in the comments are saying, we've been yelling this for years. I agree. A lot of the time, people are yelling. We are yelling at people to try to get on our side. That is not productive, because people will dig their feet in the ground and they would rather commit to their own beliefs than be told right from the get that they're a piece of shit. Like I said, a lot of it is justified. And right now, I'm keeping those comments up so that this engagement leads to many more people coming in contact with this information, because a lot of what I have to say is important, and I have so much information that I need to share with you. But until we can stop attacking each other's character, can we get to the substantive issues and the very important information that I am sitting.
Someone said, what the fuck did you think this meant when you saw it at his rallies? Good question.
On and only waiting for people to be ready to hear it. A lot of people are calling out the fact that it took me so long to get here, and I agree with you. When you stand on the side of morality, the choice is clear. I think it is, like you have been saying, an open book test. However, I want to offer some perspectives on how we can flip these people. Like many of them, grew up not questioning it. A lot of these people are religious. Mine is attributed a lot to religion, where you're taught that questioning it is a sin. Like, you will go to hell if you start questioning God. And if you're on the side of God, then you're on the side of pro-life, etc. Me personally, once I graduated high school, I was homeless for a stint, and I joined the military for 3 hots and a cot to have some place of belonging. And I was in the military during Trump's first term and surrounded only by conservatives. I don't even think I knew a liberal, or at least they didn't make their opinions known, probably because of the fact that they were completely outnumbered. So even into my 20s, everything I was taught as a kid was being reinforced and reinforced over and over again. I know that people will disagree or not understand. Many of you in the comments, or the people who have messaged me personally, have come forward with the fact that it also took them a very long time to question their beliefs and a long time to get here, because I think people need to keep in mind, walking away from the conservative party oftentimes means abandoning the people you were surrounded by growing up, whether it's your family, your friends, your teachers, and it's very scary to commit to walking alone. And right now, it is walking alone, because if you're not able to welcome people who change their minds regardless of the age it took them to get there, they have no sense of belonging, nowhere to belong to. So it's not a lot of advocacy being done because they don't align with either party, because we are not welcoming them. There's one major issue that I disagree with that a lot of people are saying, and that is that there's basically an age cap on this, that there is, it took you however long to discover the right way, not thinking about the fact that they probably haven't come into contact or been able to entertain a lot of information. And that being said, I will never stop trying to change opinions of people in their 40s all the way to their 80s in hopes that we will have the votes. We will get there and make fundamental change. But if we think that it is a lost cause after someone is a certain age, then we are already fighting a lost battle. If you think that anyone who has taken so long is a piece of shit, instead of being like, wow, that's another one, that's another vote, we are getting somewhere, then that is not conducive to the change that a lot of you want to make. For me personally, I maintained a lot of these beliefs until I did even meet my husband and we started having difficult conversations, and he had the patience to sit with me and debunk and kind of tear apart all of my beliefs one by one by showing me the information, by educating me, by pointing me to news sources that I didn't even know existed. A lot of people are going to say it was my job to find that. I agree, but it wasn't until someone had the patience to sit down and dissect those beliefs did I finally feel like I could be vulnerable into changing my opinions and admitting that I was wrong the whole time. I cannot stress enough how much information that I have that I think would be beneficial to both sides. You want to know it to be educated, and conservatives need to hear it if we want them to change their opinions. I have been inside these facilities. I have been working with my immigration attorney to learn the process in hopes that when I do get a job to support me and my husband when he is released, that I can take on some of these cases pro bono, especially the people who don't have family here and are just being lost in the system that have no one to call. I have already started like a wives group chat of these immigrants, and we use that to educate each other and help each other navigate through the process, especially because a lot of it is unknown and a lot of information about this process is not accessible. It is very different than the law that I have practiced, but I am working very hard to try to learn it and to step into that space. I refuse, though, to represent someone until I feel very confident, because I do not want to cause more harm than good by not being prepared. But I am working diligently to get there.
All right, I got another crazy story for you. Check this out. This one blew my mind. This guy's name is Jerry Lee Clark. And he's been in an Alabama jail for over a year. And it all started with a sign in his yard that said, "Fuck Trump."
An Alabama man is languishing in jail after the county violated his First Amendment rights He was harassed by his neighbors, and then he was arrested for harassment himself, when all he was doing was attempting to protect himself and his property. Let me tell you this story because it's crazy. This is Jerry Lee Clark, a business owner, a hardworking man who spent 2.5 decades painting houses around the Birmingham, Alabama area. And when he bought a new house in August of 2024, he planned to stay there. When Donald Trump was inaugurated, Mr. Jerry put up a sign. This is that sign. You can see, not my
president, never, and it has Trump with an X through it. So he put up this sign in his yard, on his property, well within his First Amendment rights.
President never, and what's crossed out. And immediately, his Christian-loving neighbors, well, they began defacing the sign. They began pulling in Jerry's driveway, driving all the way up to his house, taking photos of him, his grandchildren, and anybody that was outside anytime they drove by, screaming at anybody on the property that they needed to take the sign down if they knew what was best for them. They would drive by at all hours.
So he was getting threats and being harassed over the sign because, again, he's in Alabama.
Day, honking their horn, flashing their lights, yelling out the window, and throwing debris in his yard. So Jerry did what any citizen would do. He went to the government. He reported it to the county sheriff, to the local police chief, and the local...
What do you think the local police told him? What do you think the local police told him? They said, nothing we can do. In fact, after he complained to the police multiple times, they told him, well, really, you should probably take it down because now it's affecting us. We're having to come out here. We're having to take reports. Something bad's going to happen. You should just take the sign down.
And nobody
it gets worse, Barry.
Did anything. In fact, the sheriff's office went so far as to tell him to take the sign down. They said, you can keep it up, it's your First Amendment rights, but you really need to take it down because it's making our job harder. We always have to come out here and talk to you because your sign is up, so you need to take it down. That's a violation of Jerry's First Amendment. And then as his neighbors began defacing the sign, destroying the sign, Jerry decided, the sheriff's not doing anything for me. The government who's supposed to help me here with being harassed is not doing anything, so I'm going to protect my property myself. And I don't condone what Jerry did. But Jerry decided to put fencing around his sign. He did change the sign a couple times.
Not fencing. Jerry put up razor wire. How do you spell clown? Trump. Jerry put up razor wire around the fence. Okay? Now, people on both sides. So Jerry's calling the cops and complaining, and local residents are calling the cops and complaining, saying he shouldn't be allowed to have this sign. Okay? Now, what Jerry did here is fine. Jerry does go too far. I'm going to tell you that part. Jerry goes too far. But I can imagine a man being pushed to his limits over this. Okay? They're still fucking with his sign. And not only are his neighbors harassing him, now the cops want his sign down because he's making so many complaints, is making their job harder. You know, they have to take his reports. So the cops start harassing him. They start coming by, flipping on their blue lights and their sirens, harassing Jerry while driving by his house. The local police start harassing him.
Times throughout this. So this is its final form. How do you spell clown? And you see the answer there. He has an upside down American flag because these are all his ability and his First Amendment rights to do it. And you see the razor wire around it as a fence. What you don't see is he buried in the ground legally bought explosive fireworks. Legally bought fireworks from a local fireworks.
So he buried M80s just under the dirt. Just M80s as like they're noisemaker. They're not destructive, okay? It's not the same as making a pop bomb. Like an M80 is about, the M80s they have now are not even like the old ones used to be like as big as your thumb. They're a lot smaller now. So just below the surface, inside the razor wire, he put M80s that he could set off remotely.
Company, and he wired them as such according to the state that he could detonate them from within his home to scare off intruders. Noise, a little bit of light, hopefully scare them away. They were M80s according to receipts. Now, that's not what landed Jerry in jail, because Jerry is in jail and he's been there since June. As everything continued to escalate, the sheriff got upset as well as the number of complaints came in about him razor wiring the sign, and people can't destroy it now. So the sheriff's office started driving by, hitting their sirens, hitting their horns, and blasting.
Why would the sheriff's department come by, blaring their lights and fucking emergency fucking sirens and shit. Like, why is the sheriff's department harassing him now?
Their spotlight into Jerry's house at all.
Also, all of his family, like his daughter was getting emails saying he needs to take the sign down if he knows what's good for him. Something bad's going to happen. He better take it down. Something's going to happen. You'll see what happens to people like that. You better take it down.
Of the day, harassing Jerry's wife as well, who needs a full-time caregiver, which happens to be Jerry. So Jerry did what anybody that the government had turned their back on would do to protect his property, his sanity, and his house. He bought a loudspeaker with an audible alarm, and he got a high-powered blue laser. Now, according to...
So he bought a speaker to play his alarm through when anybody got close to the sign, right? Or come up his driveway or whatever. There's an alarm that went off with a loudspeaker, and he bought a long-distance blue laser.
His sanity and his house. He bought a loudspeaker with an audible alarm, and he got a high-powered blue laser. Now, according to the sheriff's office, on a night in June, a sheriff's deputy was driving by just down the road for no reason whatsoever, and, well, Jerry hit the loudspeaker and shined the light in the sheriff deputy's eyes. So, the sheriff's office arrested Mr. Jerry, and they arrested him for 2 counts of harassment and reckless endangerment.
So one night, somebody's out in his road harassing him, flashing their lights and whatever, and he hits them with a blue laser, and it just happens to be a deputy. So that's what got him in trouble finally.
According to the sheriff's office, on a night in June, a sheriff's deputy was driving by just down the road for no reason whatsoever, and, well, Jerry hit the loudspeaker and shined the light in the sheriff deputy's eyes. So the sheriff's office arrested Mr. Jerry, and they arrested him for 2 counts of harassment and reckless endangerment for shining the laser in the sheriff's eyes. So the man that was being harassed by the sheriff's office, the people supposedly there to protect him and his...
They charged him with harassment.
And his neighbors was arrested for harassment. When the sheriff's office went and served a warrant on his property, they found the fireworks, and they went ahead and added on 2 counts of transporting, developing, manufacturing destructive devices and biological weapons. Yeah. So Jerry's in prison. Well, not prison, just jail. Just the county jail on a $400,000 cash bond. And Jerry, at some point, had a stroke. He has weakness on the side of his body. His face droops. He shows indications of hypoxia with blue fingernails. He's gone from 220 pounds.
So here's the problem. It seems like since he's, I don't know what the biological charge is. They've got the receipt of the fireworks he bought from TNT Fireworks, all legally purchased. You know what I mean? But I don't know what the biological charge is. But the problem is with him in jail, it looks like he's had a stroke. And somebody's beating the fuck out of him.
On a $400,000 cash bond. And Jerry, at some point, had a stroke.
And all these agencies have been reaching out to the Shelby County Sheriff's Office, and nobody's returned any information to them.
He has weakness on the side of his body. His face droops. He shows indications of hypoxia with blue fingernails. He's gone from 220 pounds to around 160 pounds. And on one visit, Jerry's family found him like this. And then, well, the sheriff's office...
You see that?
He's gone from 220 pounds to around 160 pounds.
One of his lawyers said that when he spoke to him that he was slurring his speech, he was incoherent and had weakness on one side of his body, like he had a stroke. Now look at him. How the fuck does this happen? How the fuck does this happen? Nobody can tell him what happened to him.
Found him like this. And then, well, the sheriff's office, the jail, they have no note of how Jerry got a broken nose and 2 black eyes. In fact, they won't release any of his medical records, even to his family members that have a power of attorney to access his medical records. There's no indication that Jerry's seen a medical professional, even though he's exhibiting signs of a stroke, and he continues to deteriorate. His daughter reached out to me because she doesn't believe that he will be alive come August of 2026 when his case actually goes to trial. And Jerry admits as well that there are things that he probably shouldn't have done. But he felt backed into a corner. His neighbors were actively harassing him. It was and is his First Amendment right to put up such a sign, and the sheriff's office that was supposed to protect him refused to do anything. And for the family, just because Jerry's in jail doesn't mean that the harassment has ended. The sign has been painted over. It's solid white. But a neighbor named...
So the daughter moved down to try to take care of this, and she's living in the house now, his house, and has painted the sign completely white, and she's still being harassed. People still show up in her yard. People still flash the lights. People still yelling at her. people still, screaming they're going to fucking murder her and parking on her property with their lights just shining at her house and shit till she comes out. Like, it's crazy.
Steve Raspberry, Rasbury, continues to drive by the house, honking his horn, screaming at people to do anything. And for the family, just because Jerry's in jail doesn't mean that the harassment has ended. The sign has been painted over. It's solid white. But a neighbor named Steve Raspberry, Rasbury, continues to drive by the house, honking his horn, screaming at people outside, pulling into the driveway and yelling at children that they better take the sign down if they know what's good for them. In fact, Mr. Jerry's daughter broke her lease and moved in with her mother to be the full-time caregiver that Jerry was. And she is being harassed daily by Steve. She has called the sheriff's deputies and office more than 13 times against Steve, and he continues to harass her. And the sheriff refuses to do anything. So one of the primary reasons that Mr. Jerry escalated in the way that he did is still actively harassing the family. The district attorney refuses to do anything. The county sheriff and the local police chief in the local town refuse to do anything. Steve walks free for harassing a man to the point that he had to take drastic measures. And Mr. Jerry is deteriorating in jail. I called the DA office. I used press credentials to try to get answers. And initially they began talking. And when they realized this would be a negative story about them, they clammed up and they said, we can't talk about an active investigation, which is actually against Alabama state law. I reported them to the attorney general, who apparently knows the new district attorney really well, who just won election, by the way, as a Republican, and they refused to talk about the case, said I'd have to talk to the DA. The county sheriff's office just says, hey, Mr. Jerry's in jail, he's in our medical unit, and we don't know his condition, and we're not going to talk or answer any questions. Good luck. So what can we do? How can we get Mr. Jerry home? Because he should have never been put in jail. He was not the aggressor here. He's the victim. He's a victim of a malicious and corrupt government. He's the victim of a good old boy system that all would do anything for our current president. And he is a victim of utilizing his First Amendment right in a way that people did not agree with. Mr. Jerry should be at home, helping take care of his wife, having coffee with his wife and daughter, and playing games with his grandkids, not languishing in jail, hoping that he has his day in court before he dies. An Alabama man is languishing in jail after the county violated his First Amendment rights.
So his daughter's on TikTok. Let me see if I can find her. Catherine Shelton. And she posts like, this is like some of the harassment she gets.
You've already
got a problem, buddy?
Broke down? Steven, you need to leave. You've already been reported.
I told you to leave us the fuck alone.
Get away from our property. Get out of my property. Leave.
This isn't your property,
It is.
lady.
It is.
You're fucking wrong, buddy. This is our goddamn house.
No, I'm on the road. You're on your property.
You can't keep passing by.
So what the heck's wrong with you?
Tell you what.
Go home to Timberlake, Steve Raspberry.
Take your hate and get rid of that goddamn sign if you got any sense.
There ain't nothing on the sign.
You're being
The sign's been painted over for months.
reported. You're getting arrested.
And they've got tons of this video of the same guy.
I am painting this sign and putting another coat on it. It still shows the word through it. I am recording this video for my safety. People have been coming by here and harassing me, putting their car in park, screaming obscenities. So this is just for my safety, documenting it. Shouldn't be as much traffic on this road, so people.
So she painted over the sign again.
People say I'm crazy.
The sign has been painted plain white since he left. This man specifically continues to harass his tacos. He comes by several times a day, but especially at night. He videos my children.
People say I'm
my children and I out in the yard while playing and doing yard work. He lays on the horn and screams out the window. He has made many posts online about our home since then. He told me I better take the sign down if I know what is good for me. We do not live in a neighborhood. It's unincorporated county, and he lives over a half-mile away in an HOA neighborhood and says the white sign is bringing down his property values. I've made several reports in the city and Shelby County and went to the magistrate for an arrest warrant for stalking and harassment. I've sent 2 cease and desist letters sent via certified mail. So this is basically the same guy. He seems to be like the leader of them. The sign has been painted white for several months.
This is Steve Raspberry in his Lincoln.
So you can't tell, but he's basically just parked on the edge of their property right here. You see his lights shining? He's parked on their property. He backed in on their property.
In Navigator, it's gray. He's been by our house.
He's pulling up to it.
Side of our property, not on the roadway.
See where his headlights are shining from? He's parked right here.
But in the private driveway. He's been harassing us and scaring our family for months. We do not know this man personally. He's parked on the side of our property, not even on the main roadway. It's extremely scary. I don't know who this man is or what he wants, but he's been scaring us and harassing us for months.
I have no idea how they're getting the biological weapon thing. Like, I understand they throw as many things as they can at stick in M80s, basically leaving like a booby trap kind of deal, whatever. But the biological weapon, and even the news stories are really inconsistent on what they found. They said they had to call in the army to go and confiscate the stuff.
There he is, at the edge of our property.
See him sitting there? What the fuck is it? Yeah, she says his name a bunch of times. And it was in that story. I can't remember what they called him, though. She just said it in this video.
You see his headlights and his taillights right there? It's right at the edge of our property.
He needs a good lawyer, a reduction in bond, first of all. $400,000. His wife's disabled, and he's the caretaker of her. They don't have $400,000. Raspberry, that's what I couldn't remember. You're right. Now he just drives off. See, same taillights, same vehicle, same everything. All night long, he does this. And taking pictures of the kids and shit. Telling this woman's kids, you guys better take down that sign if you know what's good for you.
I want to share a story that should bother everyone.
My name is Catherine. I'm trying to get coverage on my dad's story. He's a senior citizen, a longtime Shelby County resident, and small business owner. I thought I would share all this stem from him having his anti-Trump signs in his yard. If any help or ideas, I would appreciate it. I'm desperate. And then she shares the article to link. So there's the guy. That was one of the videos we just watched where he was threatening her to take down the sign. That's how long they let me visit with my dad today, and they wouldn't even remove his handcuffs. A minute and 27 seconds.
There's something.
There's the sign. The original sign. Trumpers have no spine, guts, or brains. You knew he was a snake when you let him in. He's got surveillance stuff up, posted no trespassing. Russian flags.
Welcome
This is a sign that started it all.
to the shit show.
And that's what he looked like before he went to jail, dude. He's fucking, he looks rough now. Look at that. What the fuck is happening to him in jail? No, I think that's just where she started the account. Man arrested for Not My President sign faces explosive charges. Faces legal batters after displaying Not My President sign leading to harassment, threats, and arrest. Charged with harassment, reckless endangerment, and explosive device possession. He remains in jail. I would like to see the explosives and what they actually amounted to, because when they say explosives, of course the news is going to jump all over that. But was it really just like little fireworks that you can like give to kids? You know what I mean? And a biological device. She said the two things that he had when they charged him with explosives and biological device. One was the M80s, like firecrackers that he bought from TNT, and he had a receipt for that. And then the other thing, which was the same receipt, bought at the same place, was that, I don't know if you guys have seen it, but you've seen that it's like it comes in a jar and it's like powder that you put in a fire and it changes the color of the fire so you can have like green flames, red flames, blue flames, or whatever for when you're not supposed to cook over it, but like when you're just sitting around a fire for kids. We bought it for our kids before where you can make a green fire. That powder. He had those two things, and I'm wondering if that's what they're calling a biological agent because it says that you can't consume it or to eat food that's been around the flames. You're not supposed to inhale the smoke. Like it just changes a fire's colors. Hold on. I wonder if that's what they're calling a biological agent. If he put that powder with the firecrackers and they're calling it a biological device. Some of them are like little bricks. Others like powder you dump on it for colored flames. And that's the only two things he had that were even explosive or fire or anything related. That's what she's claiming, which it is her dad. Maybe she's not being completely honest, but mystical fire flame. Yeah, I don't know. This whole story seems fucking wild, though, doesn't it? Insane. And he's been in jail for a fucking year over it with a $400,000 bond. And the people harassing him ain't doing shit. Like, they're not doing shit to them. I don't know. Maybe we're getting a spin from the daughter. I don't know. I've got one more that's probably going to piss you off. It pisses me off. I don't even know if you want to see it, but we'll try it. You ready? Let's end on a shitty one. You want to? Get everybody feeling good for the snowstorm. My mom and dad love fucking parks. I cannot believe that this is the annual park hopper pass thing for federal parks. Are you fucking shitting me? I can't believe that that's a fucking thing.
President Trump likes to have his face on stuff. Now, that's not an opinion. That's a fact. This is the brand new immigrant visa, also known as the Trump Gold Card. And this is the brand new annual pass for U.S. national parks. And you may remember back in October, the U.S. Treasurer released this as the proposed commemorative $1 coin to celebrate the 250th birthday of the United States. Yes, that is President Trump's profile on the head side of the coin. And on the tail side, it was Trump with his fists in the air saying, fight, fight, fight. Now, there was obviously some pushback to these images. So instead, do you want to see what the U.S. Mint now is proposing? Here you go. President Trump's face has still made the cut as the head side of the coin to commemorate America's 250th birthday. And the tail side, they haven't quite figured out yet. These are some of the options, including, bald eagle, American flag, that kind of thing. Now, I want to be very clear. I am not making any of this up. All of these images appear on the U.S. Mint's website.
Now, we kind of knew this was a thing they were going to try to push through. But wait till you see what they deleted and got rid of.
And I'm going to email all of this documentation and everything I'm about to share with you in tonight's Vax HQ email. So I hope you have signed yourself up for that. It is free. Oh, but wait, there's more. And before I tell you all about the other new coins that were just announced late last night, you need to understand why this is all happening. So back in the year 2020, Congress passed a law called Circulating Collectible Coin Redesign Act of 2020. In that law, it says, in honor of America's 250th birthday, the Treasury Department will issue up to 5 newly designed coins. The law says one of those designs on the quarter must be emblematic of a woman or women's contribution to the birth of the nation or
woman or women's contribution to the birth of a nation, or the Declaration of Independence, or any other monumental moments in American history. Treasury may, in addition to the coins honoring Native Americans, honoring innovation or innovators meant one issuance during the 1 year period beginning on January 1st, 2026. $1 coins with a design emblematic of the U.S. semi-quincentennial.
Declaration of Independence or any other monumental moments in American history. In addition to that, the law says the Treasury may mint coins honoring Native Americans and honoring innovation or innovators for just 1 year, beginning January 1st, 2026. And here's the piece of the law that appears that the Trump administration is using to justify this Trump commemorative $1 coin. The law says the Treasury Department may also mint a $1 coin with designs emblematic of the U.S. semi-quincentennial. By law, presidents typically cannot appear on coins until 2 years after their death, but clearly the Trump administration believes that phrase, designs that are emblematic of the U.S. semi-quincentennial, is a loophole. By proposing these designs, the U.S. Mint and Treasury are saying that these images of Trump are emblematic of America's 250th birthday. Now, this Trump coin still has not been officially approved, but unless lawmakers step in to block it, it very well could happen. But that's not the only coin that will be minted to...
Do you think Republicans are going to step in and block it? I know Democrats will try, but they can't, you know what I mean?
Celebrate America's 250th. As I said, the law calls for up to 5 new quarters to be minted along with that commemorative $1 coin. And here's the thing. Before Trump took office, for years, themes for these coins were debated and designed. And
so for basically the last 4 or 5 years, they knew this was coming, and they've made so many designs, and they were so fucking good.
Finally landed on the themes: the Declaration of Independence, the U.S. Constitution, the end of slavery or abolition, the women's right to vote or suffrage, and civil rights. In October of 2024, we got some proposals of what these new coins would look like. The proposed Declaration of Independence.
That's beautiful. That's fucking beautiful. That's awesome.
Quarter from 2024 looked like this. At the time, it was described as depicting Lady Liberty. This is the proposed U.S. Constitution coin from back in 2024.
The 3 branches of government, right? Lady Justice.
2024, at the time, it was described as honoring the 3 branches of our government and our separation of powers. The proposed
He put his name, he already did that.
Abolition quarter looked like this. That is abolitionist Frederick Douglass on the head.
That's awesome, right? Breaking the chains and Frederick Douglass. That's pretty cool. That's the abolition quarter.
Side, and at the time, this was depicted as an encapsulation of the paradox of America during the time of slavery, when our nation was also touting liberty and justice for all. This was the proposed suffrage quarter that...
I like this one a lot, even though it's about women. I mean, like, my dick's big enough, it doesn't scare me. Votes for women, the badge they wore, and then a woman marching with the flag.
Depicted what was described at the time as an every woman suffragette to honor the largest expansion of voting rights in this country. And finally, this was the proposed civil rights.
And this one's awesome, with them marching arm in arm. And then this, I don't remember her name, but she's like the first little girl after the desegregation.
Quarter that featured then 6-year-old Ruby Bridges, who made history as the first Black child to enter an all-white school in New Orleans. But late last night, without any warning, the U.S. Mint threw out all of those designs and released.
For years, they went through iteration after iteration, narrowing them down more and more, changes designed for literally like 5 years at least. And those are the final, they deleted them all. They deleted them all.
5 new designs for the quarter to celebrate the 250th birthday of America. The brand new Declaration of Independence quarter looks like this with Thomas Jefferson on the head side. The U.S. Constitution quarter looks like this with James Madison on the head side. And there is no longer a quarter for abolition, suffrage, or civil rights. Instead,
2 white men, no black people, no women.
There is a Gettysburg Address quarter featuring Abraham Lincoln on the head side, a Revolutionary War quarter featuring George Washington. And remember how the law says there must be a coin to celebrate the contributions of women to the United States? Well, the U.S. Mint released the Mayflower Compact quarter featuring a pilgrim with his arm around what appears to be
an unnamed wife. The law requires that one of them do something about a woman, so they picked a pilgrim and unnamed wife. I'm surprised they didn't try to put Melania on it. I swear to God, that's what I thought was going to happen.
Wife, and I guess that's the extent of a woman's contribution to this country, because There's no other woman depicted in any of these coins. According to the U.S. Mint, if you want to get any of these 250th coins, they will only be available for the 1 year beginning January 1st, 2026. President Trump likes to have his face on stuff.
How fucking insane. Those other designs were fucking amazing. Those are all cool coins. That'd be cool just to get and like show my sons and be like, well, this one's about this and this one's about this. Now they're like, no. Nope.
A brand new $250 million, 90,000 square foot ballroom on the White House grounds. Not one, but two brand new huge flagpoles on the White House lawns. The
last penny ever produced. It's actually not a penny. It's a 1 cent piece, but the last 1 cent piece ever produced was in November of 2025.
very, very, very gold Oval Office and a newly paved over rose garden with gold and white striped umbrellas. President Trump has been very busy making a lot of changes to the People's House, but I've noticed recently that he started to show off something new. Here he is showing off this little thing.
It's an older video, but I do remember this little arc thing. Is he still doing that?
And he showed it off again last night to a room full of donors who are also paying for that big ballroom project. But what is it? Well, here's what Trump said about it last night.
You're really here because you contributed to this incredible building that people have wanted for so many years. And we show another building. It's an arc. It's the arc that I love building things. And this way...
No, he likes his name on things. Right? The Trump piece, whatever, and the Trump ballroom, and the Trump wing, and the Trump hall, and the Trump hotel. He doesn't like building things. He likes his name on things.
I can build some beautiful things, and this, again, has never been built, and we're going to start that pretty soon.
Here's a rendering of that arc that Trump posted to his social media account.
Look at this big motherfucker. By the way, he just up and fired the ballroom designer because he told the ballroom designer he wanted it bigger, and they're like, I don't think we can. And he's like, get the fuck out of here. Give me some crayons. I'll do it.
And says he plans to construct. He says he wants it done in honor of the United States' 250th birthday, which is next year. He said this arc would be constructed near the traffic roundabout known as Memorial Circle across from Arlington National Cemetery and in direct line with the Lincoln Memorial. Now, if this arc looks familiar to you, it should. It looks a heck of a lot like the Arc de Triomphe in Paris, which was built to commemorate French military victories and those killed during their military service. Now, there is no official comment from the White House about this new arc or the specifics about when it's going to be built and how it's going to be built, and most importantly, who's going to pay for it. But during last night's ballroom donor dinner, the president hinted that he would probably be hitting up...
I don't think they're thinking the Mount Rushmore thing through. Like, I get it. They want him on Mount Rushmore because they're fucking lunatics and sycophants or whatever. Could you imagine the security force you would need at Mount Rushmore? You would need a standing army.
These same donors again to fund his new arc. I will keep you posted on if or when we hear anything official. A brand new $250 million, 90,000...
All right, guys, I'm out. Trump's a piece of shit. Please consider supporting the show. We got bills to pay around here. I know Christmas is coming up. Times, it's tight, right? But if you have extra coin, you want the show to continue, please consider supporting the show. That's the only way I pay the bills. I don't have sponsors right now or ads or nothing like that, so... If you want to help pay the bills, there it is. Any of those links comes directly to me. Leave a message. We'll read it on air. Thank you all for joining us tonight. Thank you for being here, hanging out with me, listening to me bitch, I guess. You guys have a good night. We'll see you around the next one. Yeah. Love you. See you. Bye. Can't wait to get one of those dollar coins.
But I can tell you this about if this douchebag happens to see this particular show, you don't have the forking balls to call out the people on this planet by name and tell them exactly who they are and tell them the rest of the world who they are. You don't have the forking balls.
Support the show, freeloaders. Me and Bert's internet's getting cut off. Bert couldn't go live tonight because he claims his internet got cut off.
You know that stage is set. You better buckle up because you ain't seen nothing yet. Here we go, I think I started some shit. Piss them off, it's about to get lit. Get the place in them bets, you know that stage is set. You better buckle up because you ain't seen nothing yet. And they say that I'm a lunatic. Well, listen, bitch, I came equipped with a quick wit and a 6th sense for the stupid shit. Where my true believer? Y'all need Jesus. Praise the Lord.
Yeah, it looks like there's about an inch on the car, but it doesn't look like any on the road. It's snow ice. But the kids have been out of school the last couple of days. They'll probably be out tomorrow too. They're headed into Christmas break though for next week. They get out. I think they only have to go to Wednesday and they get out for Christmas.
What's next?
New Year's, all that.
Flynn on his desk, a retard in a vest, climbing up 5G towers, cause you told him if he did, he'd get fucking superpowers. Here we go, I think I started some shit. Piss him off, it's about to get lit. Get the place in the bets, you know that stage is set. You better buckle up, cause you ain't seen nothing yet. Here we go, I think I started some shit. Piss him off, it's about to get lit. Get the place in the bets, you know that stage is set. You better buckle up, cause you ain't seen nothing yet.
By the way, Bert's latest update is if you donate to him, you're going to be entered to win prizes. He can't pay his internet bill. He can't pay his internet bill, but somehow if you donate to him, you're entered to win a prize.
Put on a light coat of baby oil and saluted the troops. He tapped me on the shoulder and said, "This is gonna be it." Whoa, wait. Stop. What? I'll get my file.
Good night, guys.
Wait, what are you doing? Stop. Fucking stop. Dude, come on. Seriously. This is what I'm